Let's look at qualities in people who want life coaching. Now, many times what you'll be dealing with will be tactical thinkers. These are people who are strategists, and part of their strategy involves you. You have been brought into a situation in which you are a functioning part of the machinery that's going to make everything work. They have thought tactically. In other words, they have a plan that's going to be initiated and you are part of it. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a sneaky thing or anything. That's actually great because these people are strategizers. They like to have a strategy when they go into things. So it's not just like you've been brought in and they're going to see what happens and they're going to leave it all up to you. No, they have certain things in mind and you will be let in on that idea. You'll probably be shown a game plan and how you fit into it. And they are thinking in tactical terms, almost like a military officer thinks. Sometimes you will be dealing with military officers, but you will be dealing with people when you're dealing with tactical thinkers who are very logical. They are people who are going to be focusing on the bottom line. They're going to be focusing on the goals, and they're going to be focusing on all of the pieces involved, including you. You'll be one of the pieces on their chessboard, all of the pieces involved that are going to make their dreams come true. These people are actually very wonderful to work with because they are so well organized in most cases. But the idea of being well organized and a tactical thinker doesn't always translate into getting things done because sometimes they sabotage themselves. Remember, there's a reason you've been brought in. If these folks you're working for were so good at getting everything done, why would you be there? So you've always got to ask yourself that, why am I here? What's the missing part of the puzzle that I supply? What piece is missing that when I show up, it shows up? Make sure that you are always able to answer that question. If you are unable to answer that question, then your stay there may be limited. And if at any point you get to that point where you no longer feel you're valuable, you've got to redefine what you're doing and come up with ideas that are going to get some fresh energy going and make you valuable again. I don't mean create a problem. I mean look for ways that you can help. If you've already resolved a situation, a challenge, you overcome it, then make sure you found the next challenge. You're also going to be dealing with people who desire a strategic and impartial mentor. Now, the things that I'm talking about in this module, the qualities of people who want life coaching, sometimes the people you deal with will have all of the qualities I'm going to mention. Sometimes they'll have one or two. Realize they're not mutually exclusive, though. It doesn't mean that if they're a tactical thinker that they can't be a person who desires strategic and impartial mentoring, because usually those two go hand in hand. I'm just giving you ideas about all of the different facets of people you will be dealing with. When you look at a diamond, it has different facets when you turn it. And sometimes you can see all of those facets in one person. They're multifaceted. Sometimes you just see one or two, and that's okay. So keep in mind that you may be seeing one or two or all of these qualities in the people you deal with. But people who desire a strategic and impartial mentor are really wonderful to deal with, but that requires something from you. That requires you to be strategic and impartial. You need to have a strategy, meaning a game plan like a tactical thinker would want, and you need to be impartial. That means that you're free from judgment. You're not judging them. You're not saying, oh, this company's awful because you haven't done this and that. No, that's not going to be very helpful. What you do want to say when you're dealing with this type of person is that what you've done so far hasn't been very effective, so we're going to do some things which will be effective. And if we start doing things and they seem to not be effective, then we're going to change strategies and start doing things that are effective. So that's what they're looking for. Someone who is not interested in judgment, because judgment doesn't get anyone anywhere, but a person who's interested in being impartial, almost like a machine, and just focusing on the control panel. Is the company making money, for example? Is the company getting anywhere? If they are getting somewhere, then you're doing a great job. If they're not getting somewhere, then you want to change what you're doing and you want to refocus and regroup a little bit. So when they're looking for a strategic and impartial mentor, that's what they're looking for. Someone who's going to come in there without judgment and opinion and just get the job done. Just stay focused, stay the course, and get things done. And if they do that, then they're going to stay employed with that company. And of course, that is always your goal, to stay employed, to keep your job. Even if you're a contractor, which you in most cases will be, you'll be a contractor pulled in to do a job, but you want to stay within that contract. You want to keep making money because of adding benefit to the client. What about people who strive for improvement? Almost everyone you deal with is going to fall in this category. Someone who strives for improvement, someone who is moving forward, someone who's tired of stagnation, who finds that stagnation is actually limiting, that stagnation is not going to get them where they want to be. Or worse than that, sometimes they've fallen backwards, they've taken a few steps back, and they really need to not only get up to the starting line again, but move forward from there. So you're going to be, in 99% of the cases, dealing with people who strive for improvement. The only exception to this that I can think of is when somebody's not doing well and somebody else hires a life coach for them. So the person isn't really interested in improvement. They're interested in perhaps getting a paycheck or something, and they don't really want to get any better. But someone has come in and said, hey, Joe needs someone to help him improve. Joe doesn't care about improvement, but we're hiring you to work with Joe to get him to improve. Otherwise, you and Joe are both going to be leaving the company. Okay, so then you have your work cut out for you. So in most cases, that's not going to be happening. Someone who's not interested in improvement in today's day and age, as they say, is really not going to be around long, because the old model was that you play it safe in business. You just do what you're supposed to do, and that's it. These days in business, the landscape has become so different that people who don't take chances, who don't take risks, who aren't dynamic creative thinkers aren't going to be around long. Even executives, sometimes even down to the management level, they're just not going to be around long. So everyone needs to improve. We have a highly competitive marketplace now, and it will probably be that way forever, and that's the way things are. So there are very few people who are still employed who don't want to improve. Most people realize that people are more savvy now. They're just more with it now when it comes to marketing and so forth. There's so many ways to market. Online, radio, TV, ads have become more slick and more sleek. Advertising tactics have become more complex. So everyone needs to improve, and it's just going to get more and more and more complex. So the need for improvement is greater than ever. So the people you deal with are in most cases going to be striving for improvement in many ways. What about people who want more creativity in their lives? Sometimes the need for improvement has to do with a need for creativity. Remember, in a competitive marketplace, and that's most of the time where you're going to find yourself, people who are business owners or executives in a competitive marketplace, in that sort of situation, creativity is king or queen. Creativity rules. Creativity is in charge. If you have it, you're going to go far. If you don't have it, you're going to be left way behind. You're going to be left in the dust without creativity. Everything is changing every day. Even companies who have been around a long time have had to change. They've had to change the way they're doing things. They've had to change the way they're advertising. I think back to a slogan I saw from Apple Computers back in, I believe it was in 2000. I was in Los Angeles, and I saw it on the side of a building, and it said, "Think different." Now, something struck me about this, and it's not just the fact that the whole side of a building had an apple and the word "think" and the phrase "think different" on it. What struck me was how differently they were thinking. Because the phrase "think different" is grammatically incorrect, and it's essentially embarrassing for a company to say something like that, to say "think different," because the phrase should be "think differently." The word "different" is an adjective designed to modify a noun. The word "differently" is an adverb designed to modify a verb. Well, in that phrase, think is a verb, so it requires an adverb. It requires differently. So the phrase should have been "think differently," but it was "think different." I realized in that moment when I saw that how differently the company was thinking. They put aside their concern about grammar, about proper grammar, and they did indeed think differently. They started what may be considered, or perhaps not started, but they certainly promoted what may be considered the demise of modern grammar, which is a completely different topic, but they did it without any reservation. They put it on the side of a building. Here it is. Here's our bad grammar. Hey, kids, look. One of the largest companies in the world uses improper grammar. They were thinking differently because they realized that that's what people want. People don't care about grammar as much anymore. They just don't. What they care about is something different and creative and something that jumps out at them and strikes them and says, "Wow, look at this." So creativity is king or queen, and you're going to be dealing with people who survive based on how creative they are. What about open-minded and intelligent? Hopefully, all of your clients are going to be both open-minded and intelligent. Now, I'm not going to guarantee that. You are going to have to be the judge of that. But realize when you become the judge of that and you start becoming judgmental, it can really get you into territory that's not very productive. If you're dealing with a client, you think, "Oh, they're just so stupid. They're just so non-intelligent. They're just so below me. They just don't follow along. They just don't get it." Well, that's nice that you think that, and you may or may not be right. Who knows? We're not going to give an intelligence test to them and to you and determine, because none of that would really matter, would it? Would it matter if I went up to that building and wrote LY on it and made it correct? No, that's not going to matter. People don't care about that. Someone has hired you to do a job. So let go of your judgment about them and just do what you have to do. There's another slogan from Nike, just do it. Make it happen. So in most cases, you will be dealing with people who are open-minded and who are intelligent, which gets us into another area. What if you feel they're more intelligent than you? Seriously, if you walk into a situation and you're supposed to be helping Mary get from point A to point B, but Mary seems to have already thought about all the ways that Mary can get from point A to point B, thought of many more ways than you would have thought of. And the first day, the first hour that she's hired you, she tells you all of them. And you think, "Oh my goodness, how am I ever going to meaningfully contribute to Mary's advancement in this company or in her business? She's so much more intelligent than me. She's thought of so many more things than me. I haven't even thought of half the things that Mary's thought of. She's already thought of them, thought of 10 reasons why they won't work," and so forth. Well, first of all, realize that intelligence does not equal success. Some people have paralysis by analysis. They've analyzed so thoroughly why something won't work. They can tell you 10 reasons why it won't work. That doesn't mean it won't work. That means they think it won't work. So sometimes it's a matter of getting through that. But back to the brighter side of this. In most cases, you'll be dealing with people who are open-minded, open to your great suggestions, and who are very intelligent, able to both understand what you're presenting and reason through the ideas with you to help fine-tune them, and they're able to carry out those ideas, to put them into reality, to put them into the real world, to make them happen so that they can move forward. What about people who feel that there's more to life? You're going to be dealing with a lot of people like this, people who are really forward thinking. And every time I'm in California, I come across this mindset, which is really great. And it's not limited to California. It's just where I notice it more. But people who just feel that there's more to life than what they're doing. Now, sometimes in California, what I've noticed is that people feel that they have to be spiritual and they have to do this and they have to do that. And it almost becomes a negative thing. It almost becomes an energy that pulls at them in a negative way because they feel that they're not good enough. They feel that they've done certain things, but they haven't really done everything they're supposed to do because their next door neighbors are doing so much more than them, and they really wish that they were doing well, but they're not, even though they're doing extremely well. In reality, they feel that they're not because someone's doing better than them. So, whether it's a negative situation or a positive one in which they just want to get better at life and do more things and discover their spirituality, their joy of life, a wonderful partner, etc. No matter what the situation is, realize you're going to be dealing with people who feel that there's more to life than what they already have. And sometimes it's going to be a negative pull in which you're going to have to step in and say, hey, there is more to life and you're going to get there, but we need to be somewhat systematic about it. I need to know what you feel is missing. And if they say, well, I don't know what's missing, that's why I hired a life coach, then you've got a little bit of work cut out for you. Then it's time to perhaps get out a magazine and start flipping through it and saying, well, what in this magazine appeals to you? Just get something that they can lock onto and say, yes, that's a vacation. That's what's missing. Free time, fun time. Oh, a relationship. That's what's missing. What is it that's more to life that they're not embracing, that they don't have? So you need to find that out. But dealing with people who feel that there's more to life is overall a wonderful experience because these people realize that there's so much more than just doing what they do and getting paid for it. I mean, if that's all there was to their lives, they probably would stop immediately doing whatever they do and just backpack around the world or something like that, because life is for living. It's to enjoy and to experience. So whether they realize what they're missing or they don't, this overall is a very positive attribute to have, the attribute of being in that situation, of realizing that there's more to life. So embrace this concept.